past 38 years, a select few yachtsmen adventurers have cast themselves into the unknown in a race around the planet, returning with stories of the world's great capes, the roaring 40s and the furious 50s. It all began in 1973 when 19 teams took up the challenge to race fully crewed in the first Whitbread Round the World race. The course took them deep into the Southern Ocean, following the all but forgotten trade routes of the 19th century, and a new obsession was born for those with a lust to see things for themselves. 38 years later, a new breed of yacht and sailor continued the tradition, but in 2011 the race is faster, the ride wilder, the risks higher. The 2011-2012 Volvo Ocean Race is a 9-month marathon covering more than 39,000 nautical miles, visiting 10 host cities, the fleet blazing across 4 oceans to complete one wild adventure. Life on board is one fueled by adrenaline, the 10-man sailing teams pushing their boats and themselves to the limit in an all-out sprint around the planet to win the Everest of sailing, the Volvo Ocean Race. It's life at the extreme. Hola and welcome. This was the scene this morning in Alicante, Spain, a city with 3,000 years of history, today adding a unique new chapter as the 6 teams taking part in the 2011-2012 Volvo Ocean Race docked out for the opening event. The Santa Barbara Castle, one of Spain's largest medieval fortresses, overlooks the city harbour and the port of Alicante, which is the home of the Volvo Ocean Race, the headquarters which will track these teams as they race 39,000 miles around the world. The 6 teams competing in the 2011-2012 Volvo Ocean Race represent the most experienced offshore sailors on the planet, sailing the latest in design and technology. 6 teams, 6 dreams, more than just a yacht race. For the sailors, a chance to test their mettle and join what is a tiny elite group competing in ocean racing's Everest. For the home team, Telefonica, this is the 3rd successive Volvo Ocean Race. The squad, made up primarily of Spanish sailors who have 15 world titles and 3 Olympic gold medals between them, led this time by 33-year-old Spanish sailing legend Iker Martinez.
I will do everything that is in my hands to do the best and to be at the highest level. For Spain, it is very important to have a team in the race, for the host and start port of Alicante and for the spectators. If there wasn't a Spanish entry, everything would be different. It is also a great opportunity for the Spanish sailors. We know that having a project like this nowadays is difficult. Luckily, we have been a well-directed team for a long time now, and this has enabled a new Spanish team in the Volvo Ocean Race. It is definitely important for us, and personally, and for the sport of sailing in Spain.
Spain have a second team entered in this year's race, sponsored by Camper, who are based in Palma, Mallorca, and have combined forces with Emirates Team New Zealand, one of the world's most prestigious professional sailing teams. Camper is led by Australian Chris Nicholson on his 4th lap of the world, but this is his first as skipper, surrounding himself with a seasoned crew of Volvo veterans, many returning for the 3rd or 4th campaign for the sheer thrill.
If you could sell a half-hour ride for anyone in the public to transport them onto the boat, say in the middle of the Southern Ocean for a half hour, it would just turn the sport on its head. I sit back quite often and just shake my head at what's going on, but you know full well that the boat beside you is pushing just as hard and having just as many difficulties, and you can only do that with the best designed, built and crewed boats in the world.
At the age of 50, the oldest skipper and the oldest competitor in the race is American Ken Reed, whose Puma team finished second overall in 2009. Puma Ocean Racing, powered by Berg Propulsion, nicknamed Mar Nostro, the Sea Monster, is Reed's latest campaign and his chance to claim an elusive first Volvo Ocean Race win.
The way I explain the Volvo Ocean Race is the extremes to human emotions. You're cold, you're wet, you're freezing, you're hot, you're sleep deprived, and you're probably hungry for 9 months. And taking all those factors, you have to push yourself to the point that winning is the option. And I think that's what the people who win this race do. They figure out how to take all these bad things that a human being just doesn't enjoy or can't really deal with very well and make it into a good.
Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing is the United Arab Emirates entry, featuring the first Emirati sailor ever to take part in the Volvo Ocean Race, whilst Abu Dhabi itself provides the first Middle East stopover in the race's history. Their yacht, Azam, meaning determined, is skippered by one of Britain's most successful sailors, Olympic silver medalist and America's Cup tactician Ian Walker, in his second successive Volvo Ocean Race campaign.
The thing that strikes you instantly, it's just the feeling of power. You know, the boats just have raw power. So it is a big responsibility as the helmsman, because if the helmsman makes a mistake, then you can overload equipment, or you can put the sailors in a precarious position on deck. So it's power, but with that power comes a tremendous responsibility. And as the helmsman as well, of course, you're not just the helmsman, you're pretty much the throttle man as well, and just making the subtle changes, whether it's the sail trim, whether it's the daggerboard, and working hard with the trimmers. That's the difference between fast sailors and not.
Groupama sailing team is led by one of the stars of the multi-hull world, a sailing hero in France, 38-year-old Frank Camas. Camas comes to the Volvo fresh from success in the Jules Verne Trophy, where he and his 9-man team set a record for the fastest circumnavigation of the planet in a sailing vessel. A newcomer to Volvo, but a formidable foe, committing to 2 successive campaigns in his effort to achieve victory.
C'est un des plus gros challenges, effectivement, entre le multicoque et le monocoque.
This is indeed one of my biggest challenges. I have had to learn quite a lot of things which are different from multi-hulls to monohulls. It's always exciting to learn new things and to have new challenges.
D'avoir un défi comme celui-là et un défi technique, ça fait partie de la course au large et en bateau de concevoir des...
Especially a technical challenge, it's part of a round-the-world race to conceive the fastest boat. Discovering a new type of boat was something I was looking forward to in this Volvo Ocean Race.
Une des choses qui m'intéressait dans cette Volvo Ocean Race.
Team Sanya is the first sole Chinese entry in the Volvo Ocean Race and marks the return of one of the most experienced Volvo skippers of the modern era, New Zealander Mike Sanderson, who won emphatically in 2005-2006.
I mean, for me, it's it's the ultimate extreme sport. 2 o'clock in the morning, on a Volvo 70 doing 30 knots of boat speed in the pitch black. That's pretty extreme, racing 6 other lunatics around you doing the same thing. That's about as extreme as it can get.
But Sanderson faces his toughest Volvo challenge yet. His campaign, given the green light at the last minute, means he's competing against brand new VO70s with a last generation yacht, requiring a brand new approach to the race.
I think what we're trying to create with Team Sanya is a slightly cheeky, opportunistic. We're kind of poised, waiting for you to slip up so that we can seize our day.
Seize the day, says Mike Sanderson. What appropriate words. Hello everybody from Alicante in Spain. We're just minutes away from the start of the Iberdrola In-Port Race, the sprint ahead of the 9-month marathon that is the Volvo Ocean Race. With me dockside in the commentary box is expert commentator Peter Lester, a multiple world champion and America's Cup tactician. Peter, we watched the rehearsal yesterday. What are you expecting today?
Well, I think it's going to be just a spectacle here at Alicante, the start of an adventure around the world. And the conditions are a little bit tricky. It was quite windy and rainy early this morning. The wind is getting lighter, and with that lightening of the wind, we'll expect a right-hand shift.
And our other expert commentator on the water is Jerry Kirby, veteran of 3 Volvos and 6 America's Cups. A sailing Superman, he's called. Jerry, Superman, conditions out there on the water.
Peter hit it on the head. It's moderating, and it's a spectacle. Great spectator boats. The sun's starting to come out. Even though the breeze is lightening, these new 70s that are out here are spectacular. Great looking boats.
Thanks very much, Jerry Kirby. Peter Lester alongside me. We're looking forward to bringing you this afternoon's huge entertainment. If anything, the rehearsal that we had yesterday is anything to go by. There we saw this absolutely short, sharp, intense racing that is the hallmark as we look at Chris Nicholson on board Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand and his co-skipper Stu Bannatyne deciding on the tactics. Peter Lester, the start, all important.
Crucial, and it's a harbour race, remember, so we're not looking at the traditional up-down, and we've just got 3.5 minutes to go. So the weather this morning, it was raining with the wind out of 10 degrees. We'll expect that to perhaps head more around to the east, to the right. 13 knots at the moment, still good breeze, expected to drop a little, but that all sets up, Martin, for the start, and the start, as is often the case, will be crucial. I think the boat, someone might even try and get off this line on port tack, and they are the boat required to keep clear. The fleet might also take the starboard option with a tack soon after, because they've got to nearly lay that mark on port.
Okay, Jerry out there on the water there. Can you see where you might like to be? Which of those boats do you think we're watching them jockeying for position now? Which one do you like?
Well, I could see that they're all setting up. They'd love to be the weather boat.
2.5
I think Peter's
minutes
right
to
on the
race
money.
start.
If someone had the guts to go in there and try a port tack start, they might be in a great position. It's a high risk but a big reward. So most boats, I think you'll see approach on starboard with a tack soon after. But Peter's right on the money. This start is critical.
Well, it is critical, but also the sort of word of caution that they have to have. We're looking at the engine room here. Everybody on these boats is working. Really, they need twice as many people on board as they've actually got. The essence of the in-port race is that it's massive workload on the crews, Peter. Yeah,
short-handed. These boats normally you'd have perhaps 14 people. We've only got 11 crew, so the crew members that are missing, Martin, are the grinders. So that means in the critical manoeuvres, especially bottom mark rounding, the trimmers, well, it's all hands to the pumps. They've got to get a Jannar up, they've got to get a Jenica down, and then do the manoeuvre around the mark. And we've seen that really in some positions on the boat, crew members are doing 2 or even 3 functions, so that will be something to pick up as the race unfolds.
Jerry, you're a veteran of these in-port races. How would you fancy being on board there with just not enough people, basically?
I think it'd be really exciting. It's funny, you spoke to some of the guys last night. We had 2 grinders in the last race that we flew in for the America's Cup, so they were big, strong guys. Essentially, that gave you a lot of options for sail changes. Now with the 2 grinders gone, these crews will be pushed to the limit, and they're all figuring it out. But they're great, and it'll be exciting.
Well, we're into less than a minute to go now, just heading on for 45 seconds. We're on board with Groupama, the French boat. There's the start line. We're coming up to the 30-second mark, and Peter Lester will call us down through the race now as we watch the crews begin to all bunch up, and this is it, the start, all important of the first of these, the Iberdrola In-Port Race.
Well, all the boats are setting up on port, so there's no issues of starboard boats coming in and tacking the fleet. So all boats on port with 17 seconds to go.
15 seconds.
Distance. Groupama just down to Lourdes.
10
Camper,
seconds.
and then Telefonica up to Windward. Telefonica just
5,
nothing as they come down towards the start. Groupama at the right at the boat end. Camper are in a great position, and then to windward of Camper, Abu Dhabi are looking very strong and well bow forward. Puma up towards the windward end of the line, over towards the pin.
The big black sails in the middle of the picture there of Abu Dhabi at the top, followed by Camper. And these Abu Dhabi and Camper were the front runners yesterday in the rehearsal. We're on board now with Puma. There's Ken Reid on the wheel. Well, how did you read that start, Jerry?
It was just as Peter was talking about, that port line lay. No one could have laid it on starboard, so it set up for just a run in on port. And it was getting a position and keeping your boat speed up, which Abu Dhabi did a brilliant job, as did Camper. I think Puma was in a great position to win the start, but it went light at that end of the line, so it's a good horse race right now.
It is indeed. Here's Groupama, and this is the French entry. Really, Frank Camus's expertise is very much more offshore than inshore, whereas a lot of the other sailors that we'll be watching later on this afternoon are experts, world champions in their own right on the short course. But here's Groupama hanging in there, looking in a nice position here. This is really good and tight, and I think the more you see it like this, Peter, the more it's going to come down to who can handle their boat best.
Yeah, and right now these three boats have all got a lane to sail, and by that they're all got clean air. It's up to windward. Abu Dhabi look strong, they'll bow forward, so they can actually, if they choose, just press a little bit on the sails and move forward on Emirates Team New Zealand, on Camper. The advantage line there with Virtual Eye shows that it's Abu Dhabi who are very strong. Now, up to windward of Abu Dhabi, we've got Puma, and off the line, they were a little bit bow back, but they look now to be coming into contention. They're on a very long port up towards the top mark. The wind has actually gone to the right a little, and it may well even go more right, Martin, and that's why the boats like Groupama will just hang in there in that lured position. If the wind goes, the wind direction moves 10 or 20 degrees, they're going to be strong.
Okay, Abu Dhabi there. You can see the power of these boats. Azam is the name. That's the skipper, Ian Walker. Azam, which means determination. And there's a look of determination certainly on the face of Ian Walker. Well, what a story that tells us. Jerry, we're looking at three bows absolutely neck and neck. It doesn't get tighter than this.
No, it's pretty good. This may be what the Volvo is the rest of the way around. Those three boats are going exact same speed. It's going to be crew handling and how they come out of the next tack.
Interesting to look at the numbers. We've got the benefit of Virtual Eye showing us the figures here. They're up into double figures, and it's well, we're looking now also at the crew. The crew's absolutely eyeballing each other. This is as tight as you can get. Peter, nerve-wracking stuff for these guys.
Well, we'd expect them to stay on port. The tack they're on, they've got a lane, but it's Abu Dhabi who have actually pushed forward a little bit on Camper. And the boat up to windward of Camper and Abu Dhabi, we've got Puma. She's going very nicely in that windward position.
What a view here for this is literally an inshore race, an in-port regatta. And the whole idea of this is to bring the racing to the people, bring Volvo Ocean Racing, give them a taste of it. Well, what a taste they're getting today in this Iberdrola In-Port Race, with all the fleet bunched up now, and you can see how close they are to the shore, and they're going to be tacking even closer to the shore. And one of the guys was making the point to me yesterday, make a mistake, and when you find yourself unable to get the sail down and you're 20 metres off the beach, it's going to give somebody a hell of a view and a hell of a fright. But we're heading up towards the top mark now, and still Abu Dhabi hanging on nicely. Looking up the track, Jerry, what do you see? Where would you want to be?
Well, right now, as they come in under this bluff, it's going to get a bit light and possibly shifty. It could either play into Puma's hand or Groupama's. It depends on if there's better pressure outside. Groupama could come out of this in good shape.
You know, it's quite an easy little, if easy is the right word, easy introduction to this race, because it's just been the one port so far. Nobody's had to tack yet, and they can get ready for the fray that's about to envelop them.
Well, the boat that just seems to be making small gains would be, in my mind, is Puma, right up to windward. Abu Dhabi to windward of Camper, Camper to windward of Groupama. So Abu Dhabi have pushed forward on Camper. So if I was calling it halfway up or 2/3 of the way up this first leg, I think probably Abu Dhabi and Puma are pretty well bow to bow, where the advantage line's showing there that Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing showing the advantage line, but tactically it's Puma who are in a strong position, because when Abu Dhabi comes across at Puma has that option, either a dipping or a leave-out tack as they approach that first mark.
And we are approaching it. We're still, as I say, everybody keeping their powder dry. The real action will start when the crew work has to get intense, which isn't that far away. Looking now, we've got Puma in the distance. Jerry Kirby got a bit of a vested interest on board that boat, and a bit of a family interest.
Yeah, he'll have his hands full today. Rome has lived for a start gun on the Volvo Ocean Race, and I think he's living a dream right now.
That's Rome Kirby, the 22-year-old son of our commentator Jerry Kirby, the Superman of sailing, as you were saying before. At 53 in the last Volvo Ocean Race, he was on the bow with Ken Reid on Puma. We're on board Puma now. And Jerry, give us some idea of how you reckon Rome will be feeling. We're looking at him now. He's on the grinder. He's looking quite calm at the moment, I have to say.
Yeah, he's a young old man. He's been racing for a long time. He's been with a lot of these guys since he was in his teens. He's loving this, I'm sure.
Well, we're watching him at the back of the boat. Why isn't he up on the bow like you were, following in his dad's footsteps?
Well, they say if you know genetics, hopefully he's smarter.
Very good.
Good man. We're looking now at Camper. We've got a lovely pan from our helicopter looking down across the Camper sails, these razzle-dazzle sails based on that sort of camouflage look that they had, I think, during the Second World War, when they were trying to camouflage these boats, that zigzag look. All these boats are an absolute amazing sort of wardrobe of style for all their sponsors, all so different, all so visible.
Martin, we're seeing now that Puma have actually come up bow to bow. They're pushing forward on Abu Dhabi. So it's Puma who went off the line. They were about a boat length and a half astern of these two boats, of Camper and Abu Dhabi, but it's Puma, the boat that have pushed forward. We can see now coming up towards that top mark.
Well, you liked that call. You liked where Puma were, Jerry, and you were right to like them.
Yeah, no, that's a strong position, and it really is critical. I can see different puffs on the water right now, and Camper and Abu Dhabi are in that pressure, and they appear to be coming a bit ahead of Puma. It's tough being inshore because there's less pressure there. So right now, Camper and Abu Dhabi are in a strong position just with the strength of the breeze.
That's Will Oxley, the navigator on board Camper. He's got his little tablet out there. Unusual to him to have a bit of a go at in terms of having the time to look at where he is, where they are on the course, and where they might want to be. Because as we were saying before, all these guys are going to have their hands full. Andrew McLean having a chat there, and just it's a kind of calm before the storm.
Yeah, it's getting quiet here though, Martin. They're getting up now under the cliffs, and we can see that Puma looked like they hit a little bit of a hole in the wind before the other two boats. They were looking in a very strong position. Now the leeward boats have a bit more pressure. We can see Ken Reid has a quick glance to leeward.
It has gone a bit soft. We know, talking to these guys, that they want to have at least 6 knots for the boats to get a bit of a wriggle on, because without that breeze they can be very sticky. I mean, these are boats designed to be out on huge, great swathes of ocean with plenty of breeze, and this is really tricky stuff.
The Abu Dhabi have done a good job here.
Yeah, just hanging in.
Well, they've actually boat for boated with Camper all the way up here. And Camper now are in a position that they're a bit locked in. They can't just tack over and go towards the top mark. Remember that top mark there is it's effectively a left-hand turn. So the boats on the inside actually have the advantage. And it's Abu Dhabi now who look like they've pushed forward on Puma.
Okay, well, we're into now, this is getting into the sharp end of this beat now, and this is where the crew work is going to be all important, because these boats, especially when it's light airs like this, they're even to some extent harder to get going, obviously. So it's going to be a question of getting the manoeuvre right, getting your timing right, and then getting the acceleration.
The rules now come into play. The boat's on starboard, and that's what Abu Dhabi have just hopped onto starboard. Same with Camper. And it's Abu Dhabi who are the right-of-way boat. Puma required to keep clear. They must keep clear, and that will mean that they'll dip both boats. So now Puma come down under Abu Dhabi. They'll have to dip Kemper. So as long as Abu Dhabi are on the ley line to the top mark, they will lead at Mark 1 of the Volvo Ocean Race. It looks like Abu Dhabi are a little bit short on that ley line, just looking at that. They look a bit quiet. Kemper are just putting their bow down to try and build speed. Of course, after the tack, it's crucial to build speed so you get that hydrodynamic lift off the keel and the boards. But it's Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing who lead at Mark 1.
Jerry Kirby are out there. It sure is light under that bluff.
Yes, it's very light and shifty, and you know it's interesting watching Telefonica and Sanjay come up. This could be a situation where they get a pump from behind and get right back into this race.
Lovely set by Abu Dhabi. They were around, and the yellow Jenica is up. Kemper still coming round. They haven't got their Jenica up yet. We can see Puma getting their red A2 hoisted. So Kemper are now on their way down to leg 2.
Further down the track, you can just see from this helicopter shots, and you can see where the breeze is further down the track, and that's what here on board Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, that's what they're heading for now. The engine room working away, getting those sails in. Justin Ferris on the left trimming, and just now dropping that big heavy headsail. These sails are heavy. I mean, the light ones are at about 80 kilos, the heavy ones are 130 kgs, and it's been raining a lot today, so that could add up to about 30% in weight, and it's going to have to be manhandled by not enough people. Rupama come in now around the Iberdrola buoy in this Iberdrola In-Port Race, trailing a bit, but as Jerry was saying before, if they could bring something down with them, they'll be in good shape.
Oh, a little bit of a wind shift, bit of pressure ahead. Look, it's Abu Dhabi have gone a bit bow down. We can see the collapse on the spinnaker of Puma. Rupama around, a nice bear away set for them as they head off on leg 2.
On board Sanya, Richard Mason there grinding away. He's been around the world a few times and really enjoying this challenge, which has come in fairly late. They're a pretty late entry on board this boat. The Sanya being a port in China, which we'll be going to on this, and they're going to have to dip Telefonica. This is bad news.
Exactly, Telefonica there are the starboard boat. Sanya required to keep clear, as they do, as they come down to dip behind.
That would be expensive.
So Telefonica going to the 5th around Mark 1.
Jerry Kirby, anything out there that sort of might be giving them a bit of food for thought?
Yeah, as they come down this first leg, it's getting tighter. Peter picked up on that shift, so they're a little bit headed. If it gets into another header, they may be switching back to headsails, and that would be a big job for the crew to get that kite down and be ready for the next set.
Hard work ahead for all these guys, and it's become a bit of a procession here. And I think this just emphasises the point that, you know, if you any mistakes are very, very quickly pounced on by the trailing boat, as Max Anderson made as we were coming into the start today. That, you know, that's when you seize the day. Any mistake you make, you can try and jump up and down on. But we look gorgeous shot of the fleet looking back, and the wonderful port of Alicante in the background. It's a bit of a reversal of yesterday. We're on board with Abu Dhabi now, on the left-hand side with that orange tablet there. That's Jules Salter, the navigator. He's having a quite relaxed time of it at the moment, because we haven't had the same action of sail changing and tacks and jibes that we had yesterday. Maybe that is yet to come in that race as the wind shifts around. It's kind of a reversal in a way, in that we had very light at the beginning and then it got heavier, and it's gone the other way this time. Heavy when we set off and now going light, but maybe there's more to come.
No, it's actually gone against the weather forecast. The expectation was the wind would actually come more towards the right hand, or looking at this around to the left, because we're going downwind, but this has actually headed the boats, and it's coming off the land even more, which has meant the boats are very tight under Jenica, heading down towards Mark 2. We can see, looks like they're slightly below the ley line, but the boat that's moving here is Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, they've just extended a wee bit. Oh, well, in fact, what's happened is Camper have tried to just gauge away from Abu Dhabi to get a bit higher on that windward side to clear their air. Now, in doing so, they would have given away a little bit of fore and aft distance, but it's put them in a position that they've got clean wind. And then immediately behind them, you've got Puma, who are really tracking down with Camper. But it's Abu Dhabi who have
Well, Ian
stuck
Walker,
away a little bit on this downwind.
Well, they have indeed. I had a quite a long chat with Ian Walker earlier in the week, and I mean, Azam, where I was saying before, Azam determined. Well, he is, and he's got the equipment this time. In the last race, he was hampered by the boat. It was basically a slow boat, which was put together in a hurry, and instead, this boat that he's got now, as you can see, that yellow line being the leader. He's got a hot boat, and he knows it. And
he's extended.
He's really enjoying it. He has. Well, look at it. It looks like a machine.
At the Mach 1, it was looking like more like 80 metres or 85 metres. He's out to 160 metres. It's a very good little gain. You can see him just adjusting the cant there. The Kiwi Spanish boat, Camper, has just gone up to windward a wee bit. Now, next big point for me, Martin, will be this bottom mark, because the crews, it's crew work. They've got to get the Jenica off, they've got to get a Janara up, and then do the manoeuvre around the mark. And with only effectively 10 crew doing the mechanical function, I think that'll be the next key point in this one.
Okay, Jerry Kirby, we're just over halfway down. Where are you in relation to where the boats are now? You're on the water?
Yeah, we're about 200 meters dead in front of Abu Dhabi. And Peter picked up, as they got away from the bluff, Camper was Abu Dhabi was the first boat into the pressure, and they got a nice puff and just extended. That boat has incredible acceleration. And when Camper and Puma got into the same breeze, Abu Dhabi had already stretched quite a bit, and they look to have a strong position going into that first mark.
Justin Ferris trimming on the Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing boat, and yeah, it's well, we haven't used it, as Jerry was saying. It's an expression we haven't used, and we use a lot normally. The rich get richer. When you're out there in front, you're the first into the fresh stuff.
Yes, you can see that now that they're just about to get another pump, so they may be able to extend even more. Actually, right now, Camper's just got into some pressure, and right now they may be closing on Abu Dhabi. Do you see that on the monitor, Peter?
Well, we're looking absolutely, got a gorgeous picture of Camper with Chris Nicholson at the helm, and we were watching all the crew looking out towards where they think the breeze is coming from, how yachtsmen point out, say, look, it's there, and that was, just as you were saying, Jerry, that we could just see them begin to pick up on that breeze. But we're on board now with Puma, Ken Reid at the back, and I mean, you've got to, in some way, when it becomes a bit of what we call a soldier's course, as a procession there, you're kind of almost relying on somebody to make a mistake and to have yourself in the right position to capitalise.
Yeah, you certainly do. The fleet are laying through onto the mark, and it's this boat, Abu Dhabi, who are in the lead. They really had the best start. They were bow forward on Camper. Looked good for Puma up towards the top mark, but it was Abu Dhabi who led at the top mark. And then on the second downwind, they have certainly done very good work, but the Camper have come back, what's that, 50 metres? And that was the little gust of wind that Jerry was talking about. So they've actually just come back at Abu Dhabi. The rest of the fleet are just really following. There's no passing lanes on this downwind, Martin. Next big point, as I've said before, will be this bottom mark rounding.
Okay, well, that's what we're moving into now. There's Frank Camas on the wheel, and we can hear that they're just all, this is the engine room swinging into action here, and they'll be all making their calls now, and they're preparing, getting ready. And this is the timing now. The timing is, when do you drop? How long do you hold that big sail, which is giving you speed? You've got to give yourself time to get it down. And we saw yesterday, Pete, that there were a lot of mistakes made by hanging on too long.
Yes, and that'll be the key moment. We can see Abu Dhabi having to go bow up with their big, huge A2 Jenica. The boats behind have got more wind. I'm looking at Puma. You can see a bit more bow wash coming off the bow of their boat. There's a bit more pressure from behind, and that's always a bit nerve-wracking for Ian Walker, who's skipper helmsman of Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. He's looking down to leeward, looking towards the marker. So here's another game change here, Martin. This has gone light and a bit funky at the bottom, and the trailing boats will actually...
They're closed in.
Group Armour will be flying up on this group. I think we've just seen the first action, so there's a big hole at the bottom mark. There's very little wind at the bottom mark.
Peter, this could be a restart.
Effectively it could. Yeah, Jerry Kirby there saying this could be
it's
a
pretty
restart.
flat down there, Jerry, isn't it? It looks very quiet at the bottom mark.
Yeah, it's not only quiet. I think this is going to turn into a jibe.
Really?
Yes, they may be holding on to their spinnakers and VMG sailing away. And as the boats in the back close up, you could see some passing.
Well, all those spectator boats there were on board here with Camper, with Emirates Team New Zealand. Chris Nicholson calling the shots. Now, boys, get ready.
See how this unfolds, Martin. Jerry's called this one. Just going out with a zero. And the Jenica will drop on the new windward side. That's turned into a little bit of an easier manoeuvre. Look at Ian Walker just rocking, show of nerves as he brings the boat ever so gently round Mark 2. Camper coming into Mark 2. What are they going to do? I suspect they'll be on the same manoeuvre. No, they're jibing. They're jibing their A2. Inside jibe. So there's a different philosophy. Let's see how this one matures.
Well, the essence, am I right, that you can't afford to lose speed. You've got to keep way on in these light airs.
Now, this is because of this huge wind shift, Martin. So Camper still under Jenica, Puma staying under Jenica. And it was Abu Dhabi who went to a code 0. So sail selection could be a talking point.
Jerry, what do you reckon? Who's got it right? Who's got it wrong?
Right now, the Abu Dhabi did a brilliant jibe peel. That's a tough maneuver in light air, and they did it beautifully. As you see Camper getting headed right now, and Puma coming up above them, this is a real, could be a shake-up. But the code 0 is very stable in these conditions, and Abu Dhabi seems to be going along nicely. It just depends on how the pressure fills in. I can see just now, ahead of Abu Dhabi, they'll poke into that pressure very soon and could stretch again.
It'll be one of these cases where the rich get richer, and it's
well, look
now,
at Puma and Group Armour. They've got some way on now. Camper are just desperately sitting there.
Camper could get rolled here by Puma.
Looks like they might have a problem.
Group Armour.
Yeah, Peter, this is that restart I was talking about. And right now, Sanjay is coming up to that mark with pressure. There's a good shot they could round that mark and sail up over the other. They're all getting into pressure now. So Group Armour's making a move. And here's Abu Dhabi starting a little bit of a stretch.
Okay, we're on board at the moment with Team Sanya. Here's that engine room we're talking about. All cylinders running as they go into their manoeuvre and start heading up on the chase. These might just be able to fill in after that shift. And whoever's got into it first is going to be off and running. Telefonica now coming down with a bit of pressure.
A lot more pressure for Telefonica. They're trailing, but they're in pressure. Make huge gains of the group ahead.
So important for these guys to try and do well in what are home waters, and they'll be disappointed to be where they are at the moment. I was interviewing Ike Martinez this morning, and he was saying that they really did want to turn it on for their fans here, but they're going to need some luck to get right back in the hunt here, that's for sure.
It's all Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi,
they are off, and it looks to me as though Puma have rolled over the top of Camper. Groupama are handily placed as well. Once we get a wider shot, we'll see if there has in fact been a change in positioning. But the master stroke there was by Abu Dhabi actually peeling, Jai Peel onto their code 0. And then they just snuck out into that new little building breeze and they are off.
They're off.
Yeah, Peter, you touched on something that's so critical with these Volvo 70s, and that's not losing boat speed. And Camper got headed shortly after that mark, and in that little loss of boat speed, she just got glued, and then she had to peel, and it's really cost her in terms of position.
So Puma chasing now Abu Dhabi, and well, it's on board Camper now. They really slipped on that mark. Stu Bannatyne looking really worried. Adam Minoprio in the very front of your shot. One of the young under 30. Boat has to have 3 sailors who are under 30, and I think that's another one down. Wislang going up into the bow here, and trying to decide what they could do to make amends as we look at our race leader here in the Iberdrola In-Port Race in Alicante. The little sprint that sets off what is the marathon of the Volvo Ocean Race. We're looking down with virtual eye up towards the gate, and that's where the skippers have a choice of which turn they make, which buoy they go round to head for home. And what a great view that is if you're sitting on board Abu Dhabi looking back at the rest of the fleet. And that was a shocker for Camper, as we're seeing now. They
were the big loser there
absolutely
at
the
that
big
mark,
loser.
and they went from 2nd to that 5th. And that just illustrates again with these boats how expensive it is if you lose momentum, lose some pressure, lose so valuable boat speed. Camper now coming under pressure from Telefonica.
Well, long faces of this Kiwi crewed boat.
Well, the issue
They've got
for them,
Telefonica looking back.
they'll be in disturbed air. They'll be in turbulence from the trailing edges of the sails of the boats ahead, and you can see Camper trying to gauge out to windward to try and just find a lane. Abu Dhabi lead from Puma, from Groupama, and then Sanya, Camper, Telefonica.
This is Adam Minoprio busy packing the kite. I was saying he's one of the under 30s on board, and this is hot, sweaty work down below, trying to get this kite ready for the run back downwind. Adam Minoprio, new to the Volvo Ocean Race. He was a young world match racing tour champion, and a hot shot for the future clearly, but there he is down there in the cauldron getting that kite packed up as we're on Abu Dhabi, and we see Ian Walker looking back.
So Ian Walker, beautiful start, got that first mark, and it's really one of the cases where the boat in the lead is extending. I think just behind I saw a peel going on. I think it was on Groupama, so they were peeling off there.
So peeling's changing from one kite, one sail to another.
We'll have a look at that in due course. We can see behind there the green, that's a code 0. They've peeled off their Jenica, but it's Abu Dhabi racing. Very in good shape.
Guest on board, Prince of Sweden. What a lovely position for him to be in on board Puma Ocean Racing, powered by Berg. There he is, some Swedish royalty. And that's one of the great things about yachting, is that at this very highest level, I mean, these are they're not showing it speed-wise today, but these are the sort of the Ferraris, if you like. They're the Formula One of the oceans, and you can go for a ride on one. And I have to say, it's especially when the breeze is in, it's an astonishing experience. We're looking right down onto the deck of Abu Dhabi. Different deck layout here. You can it's where that sail is on the right-hand side. There's a sort of little island with the the 2 winches on, and the sail slots in nicely behind that, and the others would have a flush deck there with the sails on top. So that's the only boat of the one of the 6 boats that has that feature. 206 metres now between Ian Walker and Ken Reid, and let's go back out onto the water with Jerry Kirby. We're looking at Ian Walker at the helm, Jerry, and you must think he looks pretty comfortable.
Right at this time, Ian's going to be really happy. You know, he put up a great effort in the last Volvo with a boat that was just slow, and he's got what looks to be a very fast boat, and it's a great crew. So this would be exciting for him to not be dealing with a slow boat. And right now, Iker Martinez is making a move. He's held his kite. He's the only one with a spinnaker still on, and he's sailing high, trying to get back into this race. You know, it looks like it's going to be shifty. The breeze is filled in offshore, and that's where you see Abu Dhabi stretching away from the other boats. Puma will probably be into that pressure first, but there could be another mix-up. It looks like it's still going to be an interesting race as we keep going forward.
Yeah, Jerry, just thinking ahead, I mean, it was pretty messy down at that bottom mark. Is it going to be messy again down there? Is there a big hole at the bottom mark hidden by the shore? Is this breeze stable?
Peter, it's moving around the course. It's still light up under that bluff. They've got to go back into that area, so there could be another opportunity for the boats from behind. It's just gone light on Abu Dhabi's bow, and we could see some more position changes even before the next gate.
It ain't over. The wind can play enormous tricks, as we saw happen yesterday, and it could happen again.
Well, the forecast, Martin, remember, is actually for the wind to lighten off as the afternoon goes on and then become unstable. So it looks like the forecast's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Unstable, another understatement. Understaffed on these boats is one. That's an understatement, and unstable is another one. But I think Jerry, you've got the advantage. We're looking at virtual eye at the moment, and you've got the advantage of being out there, seeing and feeling what the water and the wind are doing. Where would you want, I mean, apart from in the lead, where would you want to be placed?
Right now, at the finish line. It's wide open. Iker Martinez just did a brilliant move. He sailed high, and he just rolled over Camper. And now Camper is sailing above him. There's a great battle at the back of the fleet, but those boats, it's anybody's race right now, because Abu Dhabi is sailing high to get to this next gate, and they'll be going back into less pressure. So this thing's wide open with the amount of racing left to go.
What a story that picture tells.
Well, it's looking soft, Martin.
Yeah, it is.
I think we're going to see yet another lead change here, looking at that. Abu Dhabi have run out of wind, and it's Puma who have come charging through the middle of the fleet.
We're on board with Groupama at the moment. They look like they're going to benefit as well. All these pictures on board provided by the media man. There's a media man on board whose sole job is to provide pictures, sound, vision, everything off the boat right through this race. He can't sail the boat. All he can do is cook and clean. No cooking and cleaning to do on the inshore races, of course. Instead, here we are, and this is on board Telefonica, and that's Diego Fructuoso giving us those pictures there. And that's a unique element of this race, is that they're going to be, that's all those guys can do, and they're giving us a terrific insight to it. But now we're looking at virtual eye. Up at that gate, everybody very much to the left-hand side of it. They're going to have to get their way back to that gate, but they're at the moment on the hunt for wind.
Well, the reason they've gone high is they're looking for wind, and all along this leg it's been Abu Dhabi. Now Abu Dhabi are closer to the windward gate than Puma, because if you project the line they're on now, the turning mark is actually to their right. But Puma are in more pressure, and looking at the wind on the water up on that windward side, it looks a little bit greener towards the shore, which equates that there's more wind. So it's become very unstable as they head up to Mark 2, the gate mark.
And what we do know, Jerry, about these boats is that a couple of extra knots of breeze can make these boats really light up, and anybody who gets into that advantage first can really, really enjoy it.
Absolutely, Martin. That's the key. Is if you're in pressure, this boat speed can be 3 times someone that's not, and you can stretch away quickly. Right now, Abu Dhabi's in a very good place to try to get to that gate first, and it's amazing. Mike Sanderson is right back in the thick of it. You know, it'll be exciting to see who can get down to this gate and head back into that light breeze. But that's, if you're a navigator or a skipper right now, you're trying to think, where the heck do you head on this next leg, because the pressure is really dropping off out here.
Okay, we're looking at camper at the moment. On board is Will Oxley. Let's see if we can get a word with him.
Yeah, we slowed to change to zero. Zero was the right call, and basically the breeze filled in behind us and a session of boats went past us. Still a long way to go though, so we're very much in the game. About 3 and 1.5. So we're just, you know, a long way to go in this race. So now what happens is the boats in front are providing pointers to us where the breeze is. So the important thing is to finish first at the end.
Very philosophical there. That's Hamish Hooper providing those pictures and sound for us from Will Oxley, the Australian navigator on board camper. I don't know if you could hear that Jerry, but what he was saying basically is that you know, they're letting the boats ahead of them give them the pointers for where to go, and he reckons the race is far from over.
Yeah, Will is he's got a great sense of humor and he's a good navigator, but I think he's right on the money. This race is far from over. It'll be a lot of fun to watch how it develops. Actually, right now, Iker Martinez at the back of the fleet, he's got the still got his A2 on, so he can sail lower than the other boats. If he gets a little bit of pressure, it's not unthinkable to see him go around that gate first.
Great shot from our helicopter. The tentacles of Puma.
Well, although Puma pushed forward, the Abu Dhabi is closer to the mark. Puma have got bow forward, but the mark, we can see the mark is actually on the right-hand side of the boat. So the boats will have to jibe and come back through that, the 2 yellow buoys. That's the gate. So it's Abu Dhabi who looked, they were sweating on it 2/3 of the way up the second leg, but they are still in the lead as they come up towards Mark 2. But all the fleet are well above the ley line to the mark. And here's the jibe coming up in Walker. So Puma of jibe. Abu Dhabi now will jibe. Well,
you can hear a combination of noise there. You can hear the coffee grinder winches whirring, but you can also hear the whir of the canting keel being swung from side to side. And it's still looking very much that Abu Dhabi are in the box seat as we look at Puma.
Abu Dhabi, Ian Walker just held his nerve on that very tricky upwind.
Oh, it's light.
It's very, very light. It is very light. Now what we need to look at here is what boat, if we look at the 2 sails, the Puma Code 0 and the Abu Dhabi Code 0, which one of them has the most pressure?
Got to say
it
Puma.
Looks, and then we look at if we look at the bow of the boat, the faster boat will have a wee bit more wash or a little bit more white water coming off the bow. Just as we were running through that, I thought it was Abu Dhabi who started to push forward. Got to come up on the left-hand side of the gate and then round through the gate and then head back to Mark 3.
Oh, this is slow motion agony for these guys, because the boats much prefer when they've got a bit of go on. And it's sloppy out there as well, Jerry. There's a swell and a slop, and they don't like it on these boats.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gone soft, and that slows these boats down, and the choppy water doesn't help either. It's interesting. I look at Iker Martinez right now, who is dead last with his A2. He might be able to get right back in the hunt. But Abu Dhabi looks very strong, even though it's light. They're getting ready to round the mark, and you know, the big question right now is, where do you head as you look up the course? It's very light in all directions. Probably the best pressure is going straight back towards the yacht basin.
Tricky, tricky stuff. There's the gate, couldn't be clearer. Abu Dhabi, those stealthy looking, sinister looking black sails. We're on board Abu Dhabi at the moment. Ian Walker there at the helm. These pictures coming from Nick Dana, who's the media man there.
Wow,
But
these boats don't like these conditions. I mean, they're big wide boats. There's a lot of wetted surface, and you can see Ian Walker just nursing the boat through that gate.
This is a shame, really, because
look at Telefonica. From they were 6th, they're up to 3rd.
Yeah. Oh, good move hanging onto that kite. But it's such a shame, really, in a way, for the spectators here on this Iberdrola In-Port Race that we've got, you know, these boats. You want them lit up like they were yesterday, where it was just spectacular to see them manoeuvre.
Well, unfortunately for this one, Martin, it could shut completely down. As we look up the rig on camper.
This is an unusual tactic. This is more of a sort of America's Cup idea, to have somebody up the mast looking for breeze. And that was, again, Hamish Hipper providing those pictures. We're looking now, well, that Ian Walker on the virtual looks almost static, and it's ugly.
And the point is, if we look at virtual Leo, he's come around the mark. He's actually got to head back to where he came from. But of course, to turn the boat in these very light conditions, big left overseas, it's actually hard to turn the boat down. Telefonica have been the mover on the sled. Now Ian Walker's now tacked on Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing as they head off on leg 3.
Well, it's it's because of the angles that these boats sail, it's really hard to kind of get a handle on. I mean, if you were coming into this race fresh, you'd think the Camper were doing a very nice job there, wouldn't you? And yet they're way behind, propping up the fleet. And there's Camper and Sanya, and where you can see that slop. That's Rob Salthouse at the back of the Camper boat.
And that slop is hard to deal with.
He's a trimmer, and he's trying to get everything he can out of that sail, but he still needs some wind to do it.
What's interesting there, Martin, just look at the code 0 where Robert Salthouse is sheeting. They've actually got a barber. They've got a higher sheeting point on the code 0, and that just means that they can let the head of the sail open up a little bit more. There's another sheeting position right down there in the bottom of the sail. He's not using that position, so he's more in a reaching mode. Wants to sail a little bit deeper, so that by sheeting higher, it means the top of the sail can open out and vent a little bit more efficiently.
Well, now this is Puma is looking hot, but they're not in the lead, although because they've got to come all the way back up.
So
and here they
Puma
are now. See how they're doing that? They've furled up the headsail, and then they'll unfurl it on the other side once they get it here. They get going now. And yesterday, it's hard to believe, isn't it, that yesterday they were having such problems with that because the wind was so strong. And now it's light as light. And Jerry, can you see anything at all out there that might say that we want at least 6 or 7 knots? Any indications?
Yes, absolutely. The breeze has just started to fill in again. Some breeze is back down on the water, and you'll see Abu Dhabi is just getting some speed on, and they're really in a great position. And Puma is in nice pressure right now. All the boats to weather have yet to get there.
And the boats all got now men at the mast looking to see where to go for the breeze, but Abu Dhabi, they're off.
Oh, they're going to be a leg. They'll have half this leg on the fleet. Puma.
I mean, it's tough to comprehend that all those boats have got to go backwards before they can go forwards and join. That's Mike Sanderson there on board Sanya, and well, there's a kind of resigned look on his face. he'd much rather things were roaring along, obviously. I mean, all that zigzagging down there just tells this almost bizarre story.
They're going back to where they came from.
They're going back to where they came from. I mean, it's just absurd. How frustrating would this be, Jerry, to be on board on a race like this halfway down the fleet?
Well, you know, it's funny. You don't sign up for the Volvo Ocean Race to drift around a bay in Spain. But, you know, one thing Volvo sailors all have in their character is that they always know it's never over.
Yeah.
So these guys know there's still a possibility. The other boats are sailing up into some light air, so they'll persevere. Another note is the guy to weather, he's there to spot that breeze, but he also has to kick those battens through. These square-headed mainsails, when you tack and jibe in light air, the battens don't go through. So the guy up there has two purposes. He's got to kick that batten over to get some flow back in the mainsail.
Well, they've got to have something to kick the battens across because there's not very much wind to do it for them.
Absolutely. Right now, it looks like as this breeze fills in, you know, it's amazing. Sanjay and Camper have pressure, and between the mark, you know, Iker Martinez and Groupama aren't there yet. So it's actually filling from the weather side. So the boats behind are in good pressure, and although Groupama and Telefonica are ahead of them, the pressure's not gotten to them yet. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a reshuffle at this gate.
This is a bit of a shame. Okay, this is a bit of a shame.
Puma just coming up towards the gate. They'll go through the gate, extend ever so slightly, and then they will tack and head back down to where that Mark III, where Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing are going. They will be extending. They have a huge lead now, Martin. But with this wind being so unstable, and it could even get lighter and more messy, it's never over. We're just coming up to the halfway point.
Ken Reid takes Puma through the gate in absolutely painful slow motion. You've got to get used to whatever. I mean, the simple fact of the matter, it is what it is, and it is for these guys a really nice little ride in pressure, heading downwind, and Ian Walker takes a swig of his bottle and he'll be happy as happy. They're romping.
Yes, they are, and they've got good pressure, and you can see the good bow wash. Boat's foot is powered up. As long as this wind does not collapse on them.
The flag on the committee boat has been reached, okay? The water is down. It looks like there's more wind coming.
Salter, he's the navigator, just talking about the wind direction for the next leg. So they're going to go around this one and then head back up towards which was the original Mark I. Now that could be quite tricky, Martin. It's right up under the cliffs. It'll be pretty light up there.
Ian Walker takes a look back. He'll like what he sees because everybody's behind him. Almost a bit of a grin there. So he'll be too cautious, like all sailors, to think that he's in good shape. But, there's the gaggle at the top.
Bit of wind up there now.
The camper seems to be in a little bit of a breeze. But this is a real. Look how well Telefonica have done, Jerry. They're right in there now behind Puma.
Yeah, Iker Martinez, it's his hometown. There's no way he's going to hang at the back of the pack. There's too many Olympic medals, I think, holding him back. But he'll throw the medals out and get that boat going.
Well, yeah, it's going to have to need to. Looking back behind everything. Behind the camera, you can see Puma is away. Camera crew go through it. There's the call from Stu Bannatyne. Round comes the head sail. And they need
painful for them to tack.
Yeah, that is it's sort of sailing agony, isn't it? But Groupama's got some way, but of course they'll
They
use
might
that
be
way
going
when
to
they tack.
they might be going to take the other option actually at that gate. There's a left and right option. I think you're going to see Groupama come round the right-hand buoy as Camper go round the windward or the left hand. Telefonica are off, they've got some way on. This is why they like these gates at the markers. It just gives the trailing boat an option.
I think we mustn't lose sight of the fact that this is a really important race, that these in-port races count for 20% of the points available in the Volvo Ocean Race. And we're starting off here with the Iberdrola In-Port Race.
They got good breeze, they're gone.
Well, we're looking at Abu Dhabi and they are up and running. They're just charging along. And well, we're talking about the importance of how important these races could be, because at this stage you'd have to say Abu Dhabi are looking like they're in prime position to take this and the points, because we're kicking off with an in-port race here, the Iberdrola In-Port Race in Alicante, and the whole race will end with an in-port race in Galway, in Ireland, next July. And who knows, it could well be that the entire 9-month exercise could hinge on an in-port race. So Jerry, it is vital.
Yeah, these ports are critical, and right now Abu Dhabi actually looks like a Volvo 70. You know, there's flying a rudder, you know, everyone on the weather rail. She's just been where the wind is from the get-go. And this is a situation where the first boat to poke its nose, the breeze is filled in from the shore out. And it looks like Puma will be the next boat with its nose into it. And then it appears to be filled in through the whole race course.
Adam Minoprio there at the rig on board Camper. And what's he going to be seeing? He would need some very special magic bullet. But it's going to be it's still quite a long, we've got a long way to go for these guys, but at the moment we've got Ian Walker, and it looks like Abu Dhabi are just absolutely running away with this. Our understanding is that the race course has been shortened because of the breeze, and we're watching Abu Dhabi. This is Abu Dhabi. Azam determined, Ian Walker at the helm, and they are heading now. Well, there are smiles all around. This is how Mimesh does it. Well, they're shaking hands. This is telling us all we need to know, that this is Ian Walker driving Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing towards the finish of the Iberdrola In-Port Race. They're going to take the points. They're going to take the psychological advantage. The Emirates flag is flying as Abu Dhabi hurtle across the line. Handshakes all round. It's a great win for Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing in the first of the in-port races of the Volvo Ocean Race. Great performance.
Well, I'd put that one down to the start, Martin. It was Abu Dhabi who got off the line. They were in good shape to windward of Camper. They trapped Camper away. The only attack came up that first beat when Puma looked to be doing well in the windward position, but at the top mark it was Abu Dhabi who tacked onto starboard. They squeezed round that top mark. They extended on the first leg, but the winning of the race was on that third leg. Great victory.
And the man carrying the flag there, well, that is Adil Khalid, the first United Arab Emirates crew member to sail in the Volvo Ocean Race. And he's handed it on now for the flag to be flown. So what a great win for the Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing team. And Ian Walker there shakes hand with Dewar Salter, the guy who will have put him in the right place, knowing where he needed to be. Oh, Jerry Kirby, pretty neat stuff by these guys, you have to say.
They'd be really happy. Ian never got to spray a first place podium bottle of champagne, so those boys will be very excited. Their boat looks fast, and you know, that's a great team. You got guys like Craig Soderway. You know, he eats glass for breakfast, and you know, he's a quiet one, but he'll be very happy, and so will the rest of those boys with their finish.
Well, Adil Khalid is he sure is happy with his flying the flag there. He wouldn't have expected that on his first foray into the Volvo Ocean Race proper, and how very, very satisfying for these guys. Well, in due course, we'll come and have a word with the skipper Ian Walker, but let's see where we're heading with the rest of this race as we see the flag of the United Arab Emirates fluttering in the breeze. The photo call here for the young lad who he's a sailor himself. Obviously, he's sailed for a lot of his life, and he had to go through a really rigorous as he takes the champagne bottle, he had to go through a rigorous selection process to get this position, and you know a bit about that as he shakes the champagne bottle. Was that part of his training, do you think?
Well, I don't know about that, but certainly he's one of the promising young sailors from the UAE, from Abu Dhabi, and I've actually seen him sailing lasers. He went to the 2008 Olympics sailing a laser. It's a wildcard entry.
Yeah, okay, well, we're trying to see if we can get hold of Ian Walker. We can see him there. Ian, can you hear us there?
Yeah, I can hear you, I can hear you.
Okay, well, look, congratulations. Give us a little bit of a rundown on how you did it. What did you see that got you there? That's a terrific win.
Oh, it's a great win, you know, feels fantastic. You can see Adil hardly could contain himself at the finish, and well, I guess, you know, we had a great start. It was probably too brave, if I'm honest. I think the call on board was we're probably over, but fortunately we weren't. And yeah, well, we got going first around the top mark, and you know, there was still plenty of work to do. I think the big thing was the jibe change to the zero at the Mark II. Guys did a great job. We called it with less than a minute to the mark, but we'd practiced that a couple of times before. Yeah, pulled it off, fantastic. Credit to everyone.
Practice makes perfect. You know how to race inshore, even in these big boats, but very tricky in those light airs, Ian.
Yeah, it was, and of course none of us were expecting it. We all met this morning talking about strong winds, and you know, we had the heavy rain, and none of us were really in a light air mindset, so we did well, and I think, you know, Jules and Rob kept it very, very calm tactically, reassured me, and well, it's a great start for Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. You know, I don't think it means too much in the big picture, but as I said in this morning's media zone, whoever wins today's race, they might not win the race, but they can go home with a spring in the step and look forward to the week ahead.
Well, we hope you look forward to it. You certainly deserve to. That was a terrific performance, and you know, when you look at the gap, were you surprised by the scale of your victory?
I don't think you can read anything into that. You know, there's really little wind. I mean, what if it had panned out differently, they could have all sailed round us. I think in the end we just got back into the old wind, big rain cloud over the land, and you know, we were able to extend. I don't think this is. I don't think we can turn around and say we've suddenly got a magic boat. I think if anything, we were struggling to hang on to them on the first beat and did well to defend a narrow lead.
Well, congratulations. Thanks for talking to us. We're going to get back out to see the rest of the fleet trailing a long way behind you. Enjoy the moment. Many thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Martin. Cheers.
Ian Walker there, the skipper of Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, and we're back now watching the, well, I hate to say it, but they're almost all so round. It's Jerry Kirby out there. The breeze has finally filled in, but a little bit too little too late, eh?
Yeah, essentially that the race was, as Peter called it, it was the start in that first mark rounding, and Abu Dhabi stayed in the pressure and stretched. And right now, Puma's in a situation, as is Camper and every boat out there, thinking about critical points to stack up for the race to come. And it's still an undecided situation.
Incredible, the gap, Peter.
And just looking at you know, the virtual animation, it looks like there's been a bit of a change. The wind's gone back right. We saw that when Abu Dhabi came down, they laid through from the gate mark, but these boats are well above the ley line. In fact, they're running down towards the bottom mark. Jerry, there's been another big wind shift, and they've got a lot Still got a lot to do here to get down to this finish.
Yeah, Peter, you're absolutely right. What Martin was referring to before, you know, that critical 6 knots or higher to make these boats move. It's not unthinkable with a big header. Groupama could head straight at the finish line. So, and I see the breeze lightening up by Puma and Camper and Ica Martinez with Telefonica. So you may see them peel to an A2. It's really anybody's race now, and everyone out there is probably thinking about just points.
That's Adam Minoprio there, as Jerry was saying, kicking the bats through on the jibe. You can see those bats, the darker patterns along the panels along.
Well, that would indicate
sail.
to me, Martin, that they've jibed. As we look at the masses, great crowd watching here at Alicante for the Volvo Ocean Race, the In-Port Race. So the New Zealand Spanish team of Jai Camper, they're heading back towards the middle of the track.
Oh, it's still very light.
It's very light, but now we're looking down towards the bottom mark. Perhaps we'll just go back out to Jerry and try and just get a bit of a geography. Jerry, the New Zealanders have jibed. How close to laying through? Are they still higher there?
Yeah, they're well high, and so is Puma. It really, Peter, it looks like VMG sailing with the code zeros. And it's not unthinkable. Right now, it looks like Groupama and Sanjay have their A2s up, and they could be right back in this thing. It really comes down to where the wind comes down and hits the water to get the boats moving. It appears that it's anyone's race, and I can't tell if you. It looks like Groupama and Sanjay are right back in this.
Well, we can see how light it is. I think Will Oxley has some words for us on board Camper.
Okay, Will,
it's turned into a bit of a crapshoot. There's not much breeze. Course has been shortened, and we're just coming down to the bottom mark, what's turned into a bottom mark. We just crossed Sanya and Groupama, and we're in a tussle here with Telefonica and Puma. Just nearly enough pressure to change to an A2, which is going to make it steeper. Say again, Stu? Yeah, now about 6 and 2. So we're just discussing. We're probably going to change the A2, allow us to sail deeper. Objective is at least try and roll Telefonica into the finish. It's all about the pressure at this point, as in the wind pressure.
As in the wind pressure. Well, we know what he's talking about. He's on the pressure to perform as well, but. Explain, he was 6 and 3 was saying?
6 and 3, that's the time to the ley line, so 6 minutes was on this ley line and 3 minutes on the on starboard. So still a long way to go for Camper, Chris Nicholson.
Big movement on the wheel. There's the pattern, here's Groupama. It's, well, as we're saying, just one gust, Jerry, one gust could make all the difference.
Yeah, it really comes down to just that. If you're in pressure, your boat speed can triple or quadruple, and you'll just pull away from the other boats. So it appears now that the breeze is filling out where Groupama is. That Puma's in the lightest breeze, and Groupama's in the best breeze. So it'll be interesting to see how it comes down the rest of the course.
Well, it's one of these we're looking at numbers here.
So we have a quick squiz at the numbers, and the two in the middle look to have pretty good speed. Telefonica and Camper. Puma down to leeward.
Well, that's a sort of, it's the gust coming in and out, isn't it?
He's jumping around a bit.
We're on board we're just looking here at Ken Reid on Puma. You don't get much more distinctive in terms of a paint job than those tentacles climbing up the hull and sails of El Mostro.
Martin Puma here are in good position to take second.
Yeah.
I think the race will really be between Camper and Telefonica. They're still locked in a battle.
Well, they're the two Spanish boats, aren't they? And as this, it's still the victory parade with Adil Khalid leading it with the flag. And he's enjoyed the champagne and enjoyed the win. And now Groupama on the right, Sanya on the left, and well, crapshoot was the word, Jerry. It's still anybody's for this last gasp of this race for the rest of the fleet.
Yeah, right now it looks like that pressure will fill in, and Puma should be able to jibe for the finish line. It looks like they're in a strong position to get second, and amazingly, Iker Martinez has worked his way back, and if the pressure holds, Telefonica could end up on the podium, but it's still Telefonica and Camper are neck and neck. It'll be great to see how this ends up.
Well, perhaps the next big move here, Jerry, is this next jibe for these two boats, because Telefonica they're ahead of Camper, closer to the finish. Looks like Camper are might be starting to affect their breeze, but Telefonica are closer to the finish. Now the jibe, Jerry, just talk us through a code 0 jibe when you're going downwind.
Code 0, as you put the bow down, the trimmer releases the sail, and everyone on the boat grinds the furling system. Essentially, you furl the entire sail up, and you don't deploy until you're on the new tack. If they execute it well, really the race comes down to who does the best, I would say the best jibe here.
Okay, well, this is the battle that's going on, we think, for third place, because Puma looks like they're off as we look at virtual eye. There's the finish line with the Port of Alicante in the background. And there's going to be a jibe shortly on board Puma. Here they go. They go. The engine is getting ready to roll, to rumble.
I think Ken
in
Reid
the centre of the boat.
Ken Reid would be happy with second.
Well, he'll be very happy.
Yeah, especially in a race that's so tricky and a bit sort of, it was so dominated by the start, and Puma have done. It's a pass mark basically to start off. No incidents, points on the board. So Puma coming down. They're going to take second. Just reflecting back, Martin, up that first windward beat, or that first windward fetch, should I say, I thought Puma looked pretty pacey.
Well, they did then, and they are now. This is Puma. That is the media man at the back, Amory Ross, ready to capture the moment as Puma head for the line and second place in the Iberdrola In-Port Race here in Alicante, the start of their official start, the first points of their Volvo ocean racing campaign. There's the finish line, and there is the finish for Puma, for Ken Reid, second place in the Iberdrola In-Port Race. And that will, for him, will be a source of some relief, I would imagine. I think we might hopefully be getting a word with him, with Ken Reid shortly. As he walks from one wheel to the other. No sort of particular high fives or pats on the back, just there is a bit of a handshake. Well, they've made that, and now we can see the battle for third place. There is the two Spanish boats, Camper and Telefonica, heading in for the two Spanish entries, heading for the line. Looks like
we might have seen a change here, Martin.
Yeah, it looks like Emirates.
When we went away, they were setting up for their jibe. It was Camper that got into quite a strong position. Let's have just a look. They're very close together, but it's Camper who have stuck ahead of Telefonica.
Is it another jibe? Is this the jibe for the finish? One and in?
It's one and in for both teams. So they furl. You can see Telefonica through their jibe. Camper jibe ahead and to leeward of Telefonica, so they'll have clear wind in there when they come out of the jibe. So good jibe by Camper.
Nice shot. A couple of extra knots of breeze would have been nice, but well, this is pretty close.
Well,
heading for the line. Who's got the way on?
Camper are closer to the finish than Telefonica, so it'll be Camper, in my mind, that'll get through here. Now remember, Martin, at the bottom mark last time, they were the second. They actually dropped back to sixth, so this will be a good recovery by Camper to get ahead of Telefonica. Telefonica, who was sixth at the first mark, they're going to get up to fourth. So both these teams have actually finished quite strong. Well, Telefonica are going to come under the pump here from Sanya. So
and they've let that.
well,
Here goes Camper. Well, Camper take third. There's the hooter. Camper have got third. Oh, it's a mess on Telefonica.
Keep moving, please.
Were they compromised somehow? No, they weren't.
I think
were they
Telefonica,
compromised?
if Senya can get this, is going to be close. Telefonica, it was a port starboard, they had to keep clear, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be Senya, have really shown a bit of magic on the last leg, so it's Senya who just grabbed fourth from Telefonica.
Well, that's a bit of an upset. And that will be a bit of disappointment for. Oh, it's a penalty. Is it a penalty? Jerry, what can you see happening out there with?
Essentially, Mike came back. He got a puff, so he was able to get his bow down on starboard. He got into Telefonica, who was on port, and they had nowhere to go. Essentially, Mike Sanderson finding some magic, and he fouled Telefonica, so they've got to do their turn.
Wow, that's a big call.
That's a terrible disappointment. Groupama then sneak in ahead, and Telefonica, they're battling for third, end up now propping up the fleet. That will be gut-wrenching for Ike Martinez, who was so hoping to do well. Handshakes on Groupama. They've finished unscathed. They've got a point maybe they weren't expecting to get. And they're flying a protest flag, that red flag as we went past, they're flying a protest, so we'll see where that goes and what the officials have had to say. So Ken Reid, I think we're going to now. Okay, hey Ken Reid, if you can hear us, congratulations on second, and you'll be pretty pleased or satisfied with second, I would imagine.
Are you kidding me? We are thrilled with second. Those are the types of days that you're just trying to escape in one piece, and it was pretty dicey. That's hard work.
Sorry, Ken. It was a terrible battle that you had to fight. What was the hardest part of it?
Starting and getting around the course and finishing. How's that for the hardest part of the day? I mean, there was about 40-50 degree shifts all over the place. You know, big landmines that you could trip over from time to time. The good thing about today is that our boat handling really improved. You know, we had a real come to Jesus meeting after our practice race yesterday, and the boys completely came through today. We could do anything we wanted to do, and that certainly helped us.
Well, congratulations. Normally you'd only want the win, but second looked good, you were looking good, you've come out unscathed, and now you have a week to breathe. Good luck with the next week coming up and for the start, and good job. Well done, Ken. Ken Reid, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Okay, let's see where we go then. Well, here's the provisional results, because we did see a protest flag flying there. Ian Walker, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, take the 6 points. Ken Reid gets the 5, very satisfied as you knew. Chris Nicholson on Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand, they were propping up the entire table and then suddenly came right. Mike Sanderson sneaked in, he'll be thrilled with fourth, I would imagine. Frank Camas also was expected to come last and didn't manage it. Ike Martinez, well, Team Telefonica, they will be disappointed. So that's just a bit of a disappointment there. But Peter Lester, just a very quick word on what you thought of that.
Well, in some ways the race was pretty tricky because of the variable winds, but what we did see is that it's going to be very, very close in the months ahead.
So that was the first sprint. Next up, the marathon in a week's time. The tension and excitement will build through the week as the crews prepare themselves for the real deal as they embrace the ocean in the Volvo Ocean Race. Join us here in Alicante as we count down to the race start and 66 sailors once more embark on life at the extreme.